Hi everyone, I'm Tiffany Raymond. I'm the Reference, Outreach, and Special Collections Librarian, also the Assistant Director of the library here at Wells College. I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the library. So before we get started, I just want to let you know that I am taking off my mask so that you can hear me a little bit better, but the person who's filming this is way over there, so we're being totally safe, and I'll put my mask back on before we leave. We always wear masks here at Wells College because we want to be COVID safe. So this is the library. This is the Learning Commons, which is the second floor of the library. This is where a lot of our students work with their friends because this is a collaborative space. This is where you're allowed to work, talk, and just generally have fun in the library. You see here we have our circulation desk, the writing center over there, and then we have staff offices and bathrooms back here. We're going to walk for a little bit so you can see a little bit more of the library that you might not see if you were to come to a tour here. So we do have two computer labs, one over here which is the PC lab and the other which is the Mac lab over there. It does have a 3D printer and our poster printer. So one thing that I will tell you about the PC lab is that I actually spend a great deal of time in there. So one of the things that I do here at Wells College is that I help students with their research. So research is a very important aspect of your college experience. You do a ton of research while you're here, and part of my job is to help make that research easier for you. So I teach you how to conduct research, how to find sources, and then how to use those sources ethically and responsibly once you find them. And so I use this classroom to teach students. I do workshops with individual classes, as well as have my own class. And I really hope that I'll get to see some of you in that classroom very shortly. So we're going to keep walking a little bit. So the library offers a lot of different resources for students. So we have books, obviously. What kind of a library doesn't have books? But we also have a lot of electronic resources, whether these be databases or newspapers. We actually have some movie databases as well so that you can stream movies that you might need for class or maybe just a little bit for fun too. We don't tell. So you'll spend a lot of the time at Wells on our electronic databases, and we're always here to help if you need it. I always tell students that they should come and see me before the tiers start because I can help them get to the point where there are no tiers in the research process. So we're going to walk for a little bit over here. So one of the things that's great about the library is our architecture. So this is a actually architecturally significant building. It was built in 1968, which was 52 years ago, actually now we're in 2020. And it's built in a kind of interesting style. A lot of our students when they get here say that it can be a little confusing to try and find their way through here. But it's really just a series of interlocking circles. And so we're actually going to take a circle here around to the stacks. So this is our second floor stacks. This is where we keep some of our books. It's also a rather favorite study spot through here because we do have some computers and printers back there, as well as some nice tables for students to use here. To your left, you have the Academic and Career Advising Office, which is where you're going to go when you need help with finding internships or figuring out what courses you need to take to get the degree that you need, or setting up job opportunities for after you graduate from Wells. They're really good, and they're also available to everybody who graduates from Wells. So even if 5 years down the line after your graduation you need some help with your resume or to apply for a job, you can reach out to them and they'll help you out with that. All right, so let's keep walking a little bit. So I want to talk to you a little bit about the other services that we offer here in the library as well. So in addition to research help, we're also here to help you out with things like citations. That's always one of my favorite things to talk to students about is how to write citations, as well as helping you, ooh, we've got a loose book, don't tell anybody, as well as helping you learn how to be a good employee. We have lots of students who work for us in the library, and we also offer internships every semester. So just through here, it's actually one of my favorite spots in the library. It's one of our study areas. So one of the things that we do for our students is we offer them the chance to reserve a private study carrel. These are great because you can have a study carrel all to yourself. It's your designated study spot in the library. And you can have a study carrel like this, set up next to a great big spot of windows where it gets lots of sunlight and it's kind of quiet. Or if you prefer to work around books, we have study carrels that are actually built into the stacks. These are always super popular. One of my favorite things to do at the beginning of each semester is to walk around and see how our students have decorated their study carrels. We have students who like to put up pictures, put up fairy lights, put up little notes from their friends, just to kind of personalize that space. A lot of students will leave their books for classes. Actually, they leave their laptops a lot as well. It's very safe because of the honor code. You're not allowed to touch anything that's not your own. We don't even touch something in the other students' carrels. So people leave stuff all the time in their study carrel, and it's always fun for me to see what students do to their study carrel to make it their own for that academic year. So one of the other things that I wanted to talk to you about is another aspect of my job that isn't necessarily about research, but is a lot of fun for me. So I am an alum. I'm Wells College class of 2010, and so I have a huge interest in Wells College's history. I was a history major when I was a student here, and then when I started here, we didn't have anybody who was working in the archives at the time, and so I kind of absorbed that job into what I do every day. And so now I'm also head of the special collections here at Wells, which means I run our archives and our special collections, which is a lot of fun. I always have students come up to me with questions about Wells's history, and I get to tell them fun little anecdotes, like the reason we have an honor code is because back in the day, way back in the day, we had students who weren't attending chapel the necessary amount of times that they were supposed to, and were staying up too late and not following the rules for lights out, and the other students got mad and decided that they wanted a way to hold them accountable without going to the administration. And so they created an honor code. And so that's why you guys can't cheat on exams, is because some students were skipping chapel a couple times a week. Who would have known? Or another one is just how old the odd-even tradition is. It's really old. Wells is actually one of the first schools to play basketball among women in the United States. And the beginnings of odd-even date back to probably about the 1890s. Obviously, it's changed a bit since then. We no longer play an odd-even field hockey game. Sad. I think that would be fun. But we do basketball still, and we still do a sing-off. And then we have the even-odd tradition, which started actually when I was a student here, which is the men's tradition in the spring, where they play dodgeball and have a dance-off. We also get a lot of questions about the various myths and folklores around Wells College, like one of the favorites was Henry Wells having an affair with Mrs. Pettibone. Pettibone, for those of you who have not been to campus yet, is the building where our admission staff is housed. It used to be a private residence that was bought by the college way back in the day, and that has been used for various purposes since then. But the myth was that Henry Wells was having an affair with Mrs. Pettibone, which I have no documentary evidence for in the archives, so I don't think that one's true. Another thing that's really fun is kind of talking to the students about how we develop the archives. The archives are a really important part of Wells College because it hosts our history. And when the students come to me asking questions, I'm able to answer them because we've kept this stuff. And I always tell the students that they're living history right now. So one of the biggest things that students like to talk about, and that's a basis for a lot of our folklore and myths here at Wells College, is the 1918-1919 flu epidemic. Which obviously struck Aurora just like it struck the rest of the world, and we have a lot of students get sick. And so I like to tell the students now that as much as you guys ask questions about the influenza outbreak 100 years ago, 100 years from now students are going to be asking questions about what Wells College was like during the COVID epidemic. And so I tried to talk to them about keeping things and collecting things and sending them to me so that I can create an archive, which I actually have done. We have a current COVID archive of stuff about what life is like at Wells College during COVID-19, including our face masks, social distancing, and some of the things that you see around the library that we're doing to keep everybody safe. So we do also have students who intern almost every semester in the archives, and they have a ton of fun. So if you're here, I highly recommend that you come and talk to me about interning in the archives. I'm a fun person to work for. So I think that's about all that I have to say about the library. I really hope to see your smiling faces behind a mask on campus shortly. You can register for a tour at destinationwells.com, which I believe they'll put in the comments, so that you can find that link pretty easy. And then when you come to a tour, make sure that you stop and say hi in the library. I'll probably poke my head out of my office. I usually do when I hear a tour coming through because I like saying hi to people. So I hope to see you guys around shortly, and then I hope to see you as a Wellsian your first year here at Wells very shortly. Have a good day, everybody.